Hi everyone, I'm Tamara Salas. I'm going to interview someone really, really special today. His name is Nima King. Hi Sifu Nima, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Beautiful. Tell us, what brought you to Wing Chun and how did you arrive in Hong Kong?
Originally, I started Wing Chun because it was around 1999, I believe. And during that time, I was, just due to my lifestyle, I was getting into a lot of fighting. So in that period of my life, so I decided I should get good at it, so I actually went into the yellow pages and I looked for I didn't know much about martial arts, right, just apart from the movies, but I looked for the biggest and brightest ad, which was Jim Fung's Academy. So that's how I found Wing Chun. I didn't even know it was related to Bruce Lee or anything like that, but that's how I found Wing Chun. And then I trained for a few years, and in 2004 I met our Siegel, Choi Tin, and I met him in a seminar in Sydney, and he just blew my mind away. He used me as a demonstration. At first looks he's just a skinny old man, but so he didn't look like much, but he asked someone to go up and I went up and I felt what he could do and it just blew my mind. So then and there I decided I've got to learn from this man. And I was blessed enough that our Sifu Jim Fung, he wrote me a letter to go there. And here we are. Originally I was actually going to only plan to stay there for a couple of months. So that's what I told my mum, I'll be back in a couple of months. It's been 10 years now, so yeah.
Amazing. and so when you stayed in Hong Kong and lived in Hong Kong, how often would you train?
A lot. Even before Hong Kong I was training because I was doing it full time, so I was training about, I'd say 8 hours a day. So I kept up those hours when I went there. So Seagulls will be 5 to 11 every night, 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. every night, so 6 hours. So I'd be there. Many times I'd be there before he opens the door. I'd be waiting outside, and I'd usually be the last to leave. So I was doing the 6 hours there, and one of his students, Ma, he was teaching in the VTAA in Hong Kong, the Wing Chun Athletic Association, the Yip Man's Association. So he was teaching there from 2 to 5. So some days I'd go 3 days a week. I'd go there first, 2 to 5, and then 5 to 11 at Seagull. So some days I was doing 9 hours, but I was only working on Saturdays when I was there as well. So mornings and nights, even before or after, we would be getting together because it was a whole group of us which went over. So we'd get together and we'd have some beers and we'd end up talking about what happened in training so we could train on. So basically it was all the time they were all training.
Wow,
yeah.
That's a lot of training.
Yeah.
In your social media profile, we have seen and can see your passion for our lineage, the Chong lineage.
Yeah.
Tell us what that means to you.
Our family, our lineage means a lot. I'm a family man, so of course I love my Wing Chun family. but I mean, I respect all Wing Chun lineages and all martial artists, really, all real martial artists where they spend a lot of time, practicing. You got to respect that. But in particular, our lineage, because of Siegel, because of the guy's a legend. He's a real legend, and when you stop and think and consider this man actually dedicated his life to it. Like there's many people that do, like even myself now, having kids and stuff like that. You get to train a little bit less, but him from the beginning, he was doing at least 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, non-stop, and he did that for 64 years, so that's a long time. This man was Wing Chun, so it's a big deal, and not just any kind of Wing Chun, the way he expressed the Wing Chun, the internal side of things, it was very, in my opinion, it's very, very special. I haven't come across that in the 16 years I've been around Wing Chun and researching it. I haven't come across anyone else that had something like that, so it really is a gem. Many people don't understand that, but I was blessed enough to go there and, like yourself, be in touch with Siegel, and yeah, it's just a very special thing. So this has to carry on, through generations. So I really feel passionate about, our family and our job to practice a lot and make it flourish and be able to pass it on.
So, Grandmaster Choi, he was like a father to you in your journey of Wing Chun in the last 9 to 10 years. What was it like learning from him and obviously being in his presence as such close students that you were?
Yeah, he really actually was like a father to me. Because I didn't have him, my father wasn't around when I was young, and he passed away when I was there a couple of years after I moved to Hong Kong. So, and I was young. I was 21 when I went to Hong Kong. Yeah, early 20s. So he really was like someone a mentor, someone I would look up to, not just for Wing Chun, but how to be a man, how to act. So I looked up to him in that sense as well. And he, as a person, he was just really humble and he was really down to earth. You wouldn't expect a Wing Chun master what he could do from the skill that he had, being a master. You wouldn't expect that he would get involved with the young Westerners that would come in. But many times, if we were joking, he'd obviously he couldn't speak English, but he'd want to get involved. He'd come and he'll wait until one of us, someone translates, so he could get involved. And so he was very down to earth. As we were training, he would sometimes just go out he had lots of plants, so he would go and water the plants and just look at the plants and touch them for a while. He was very much with nature. And I never heard him talk bad about anyone. People would say sometimes, us guys would ask something direct, how about this person, what about that person? How's his skill, how's that skill, in terms of other Wing Chun masters and stuff. And he never said anything bad about anyone. And he was just a very special man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So you trained here in Sydney and then in Hong Kong. What was the difference like for you between training in Australia and training in Hong Kong?
So I started training here about a few years, 5, 6 years before I went to Hong Kong, and it's very different. It was a massive difference in the training, because what we did in Oz is a lot more physical, obviously a lot more systematic. You have big classes and you're just working on punching, kicking, just the external side of things, I thought. And it was great, and Sifu Jim, he was great. The instructor classes we used to go to Wednesdays and Thursdays, they were brilliant. And his instructors that we were learning from, they were great as well. They were doing their best, but at the end of the day, they were still training only for a few years. Sifu Jim had only done about 4 years with Seagull before he came over to Australia. So, and even though he was a very good student, Jim Fung was a great practitioner. His 1-inch punch is the reason why most of the old school guys joined up. So he knew his stuff, but there's just a difference in caliber of the teachers, Jim Fung and his instructors here, compared to Seagull, which at the time when I moved there, he'd been living the life of, literally living the Wing Chun life, 70, 80 hours a week for 50 plus years. So to go there to the source and be able to learn from him was just a different feel, and I felt that it was mainly working on the essence of the art in Hong Kong. That was the difference. Where in Sydney, it was working on, as I said, the extremities, external parts of the art, and for fighting and stuff like that. But when we went to Hong Kong, it was so much deeper, so much more internal, and so much more to the core of standing for 6 hours a day, which we never did in Australia. So it was just a lot deeper and more difficult, I think, in Hong Kong.
Extra degree of difficulty.
It was hard work. It was hard work, man. So in the first couple of years, because I had back pain when I went there, and standing, your feet, your knees, on the tiles, we would stand for hours, and especially my back was just in agony before I learned how to let it go, before I learned how to relax it. And I remember, because I was young and wanted to make a good impression on Seagull, I wouldn't sit down. So if I had to sit down from the pain, I'd go to the bathroom, put the toilet seat down, and just sit there for a few minutes and go back because I didn't want to look bad. But so I must have looked strange because every like 15 minutes I'd go to the toilet and I'd stay there for 5 minutes. But after a couple of years, once we got used to it, started relaxing. It wasn't so much like a chore or something we had to do. It became really, really fun, really special when you start feeling things inside your body. Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful. In your teachings, through your videos and your profile, we see Sifu Choi guiding you whilst you're teaching. What was the most heartfelt thing for you in his teaching that helps you balance your teaching method today and also in your personal life as well?
Well, as a teacher, from what I learned from him as a teacher, which I can use for my own teaching, is the amount of patience and persistence he had. Day in, day out, he'd come in and, just one movement, because he was, as I said, was passing on the essence, so the feeling behind each movement. So he'd come in and he might manipulate our shoulder, so just simple tansa or a punch, manipulate the shoulder, day in, day out. So for me personally, for 9 years, he was, doing it over and over again patiently, and you wouldn't get it. Sometimes people coming from overseas that, they didn't have the idea of what he was trying to teach, but it would patiently stay with them. Sometimes people would argue, would say no, but this is, and he would just sort of listen, smile, let them speak, and then try to softly get his point across. And so this was a very big quality, right? He wasn't very egoistic about his teaching. So, and of course the persistence that he kept day in, day out, he would do it. So that's something that I picked up as a teacher, not getting frustrated with the student, because this is again, teaching this type of Wing Chun or teaching Wing Chun in this method. It can get frustrating if you tell them to relax and they can't relax at a level to get the control that you want them to get. But being on the other end of it, I understand how important the patience and the persistence is. But he, as a teacher, what I can use for my life, he learnt me how to really look within and be able to relax to it. Not just relax like this, but relax to it to a deep level. To be able to control relaxation and observe myself, and that he changed me as a human being. His Wing Chun, his teaching, he really, really changed me in the last decade. So. Yes, I was very blessed. Yeah, very blessed.
You bring all that into your life, obviously, into everything that you do.
Exactly right. Yeah. I'm a completely changed. For the people that know me 10 years ago, especially people that know the past that I came from, quite a intense childhood and past that I coming from Iran, coming to Australia, and then the life that I got involved in, what happened with my family. So all of that, when people find out, like, wow, really, you went through that? Because I've just transformed. So and again, it's thanks to him. Yeah.
It's beautiful. So Qigong has passed now, and with your students, do you see Grandmaster Choi in them when you're teaching and training together? Because you're all training together.
Yeah.
Now that he's gone, do you feel his presence in your students?
Absolutely. I certainly feel. I certainly get reminded a lot of the time together with Siegel, his teaching. Being in the training hall, stuff like that, while I'm teaching, because we spent many thousands of hours with him. Going through every form, so every movement of every form, going through that many times in different ways, to get an understanding. And sometimes sometimes he would do demonstrations, he would show off, he'd get 3 of us to try to stop him, and he'd effortlessly move us. So when going through these, and actually we were very lucky, because the time that we were there is when he found out he had cancer. So 6 years ago, I remember he came in and he said, look, I've got something to announce. I have cancer. They've given me 6 months to live. We were like, oh, okay. He said, don't worry, I feel fine. With my own feeling, I'm fine. So we're going to carry on. But because of that, he said he was going to retire soon, within 3 years. So he said he's going to teach every form, so starting Silum, Ta Chang, Kyu, Bilji, the dummy and the 2 weapons in 6-month blocks, which he'd never done in his 60 plus years of his teaching. So we were very, very blessed to have him. He'd never taught systematically. He would just, it was just very casual, and whenever the person was ready for the next form, he'd teach them. But this way he broke down every movement in every form. So now teaching that to my students, now the students are coming up in Hong Kong, I'm teaching them, some of them the 3rd form now, going through different movements to try to explain what the feeling should be, what you should think about. It brings back a lot of memories. I say, oh yeah, so one time Siegel did this, or, and that leads to talking about some stories he would tell. And so he's 100%, I think as long as I continue teaching, training myself and teaching, the memory won't fade. So.
Sifu Nima, you're a friendly man today, since you started your journey in Wing Chun.
Yeah.
Share with us what that is like for you. How does Wing Chun appear in your family life?
I love it. It's being a family man. It's great. It balances me. I'm very lucky. I'm blessed to have Mifty, my wife, really support 100%. I remember I said when she got pregnant, I said, oh, maybe now I'm going to be, training less because I have to take care of the baby in the beginning, stuff like that. She said, yeah, but you're never going to stop. She said, I wouldn't let you stop Wing Chun. You've dedicated your life to it, so I wouldn't want to be, I wouldn't create a situation where you would have to sacrifice your training. So she understands how much I love it and what it means to me, and what I believe. I've been put on this place to pass on Wing Chun. So it's my job to get really good at it and try my best to at least be a messenger to try to pass on this knowledge. So she understands that, and she supports it 100%. And having I just had a baby 6 months ago. So that's cheers. I'm on top of the world. Very happy with that. After a long day coming back home and holding the little one makes it all worthwhile. And yeah, like Mifty comes and helps me, as you saw in seminars, so she gives me a helping hand like that. And with my son, I started, so now he's slowly starting to move around, but when he couldn't move, he's sitting in one spot. Every morning, for about, up to 20 minutes, I'd sit him down in his rocking chair, and I'd do the forms in front of him. So and I think because of the movement, he was sort of mesmerised, so he'd just be watching. So I'm hoping that went in there somehow, so he can start early later on when he grows up. He can, I can sort of get him started that way as well. But yeah, I'm at home all the time. Like now I'm wearing my Kung Fu shoes, so whenever I'm at home I've got wooden floors, so I'm always wearing my Kung Fu shoes. So if I'm standing, I'm training. I could be holding the baby and I'm pivoting and having a play. So yeah, so I would say family life and Wing Chun are very much merged together. Yeah.
That's wonderful. So if we take a look at your beginning to now in the last 15 years, what would you say has been the biggest revelation for you spiritually? Biggest revelation spiritually
is definitely just what I get out of Wing Chun in itself. In our lineage, in the way we try to practice ourselves, the forms is very much, it's like a standing meditation. It's very much self-reflection, very much, and to be able to relax to the level that Siegel wanted us to relax, which is really, so it's actually the path that we're in search for, the path of effortlessness in all our movements. And effortlessness it has no limit, the depth has no limit. Like when we asked Siegel one time, have you reached the pinnacle? Even he said, once I get to the next level, I'll let you guys know. And I really believe he was improving till the end. He was honing his skills and he'd been able to pass it on and everything like that. So Wing Chun is really something that's, again, like a meditation. It's a journey of self-discovery, and the many thousands of hours spent me by myself, standing, observing the mind and relaxing the body. Surely I've had to balance the emotions a lot. I've had to understand the own works of my own mind to be able to, if I'm tense, if I'm thinking about something, if my mind's running, of course I can't focus it to be able to connect it to the body, to be able to relax. So this really is a transformation. It's really a tool that can be used for everyday life as well. So you get angry and if this happens, that happens. There's a state, there's an anchor, there's an anchor of awareness that I can tap into now, which really grounds you and settles you. So it's been a massive shift spiritually through this journey. Yeah.
Awesome. Sifu Nima, if there was something, an advice you could give to a young Nima, what would that be?
Chill out, man. I tell myself to just not try too hard, not take myself too seriously. But that was a definite trait of mine, trying too hard, wanting it. All my life I've been doing anything, bodybuilding, whatever I did, wanted to be the best at it. I guess that was that young nature in everyone, wanting to be the best at something. But that want made me, in the first few years, and as I was talking to you before, I actually went backwards. I started tensing up through training because that intensity of I want this. So just a bit too intense. I would tell myself to just calm down, enjoy the journey rather than look for the goal. And I think that's as an advice I would give that to everyone, to really enjoy the journey. It's not, sure we have a goal. What's the goal? The goal is to better ourselves and help better other people, really, with Wing Chun. But enjoy every minute, step by step, day by day. So that's what I would tell myself.
Golden words.
Yeah.
So you have seen obviously a lot of Wing Chun in your journey. What does the future hold for you and your family in Wing Chun in general, in Hong Kong, in Australia?
I'm definitely not done with Hong Kong yet. Definitely not done. I've been there 10 years now, over 10 years now when I first moved there. Been teaching there for 6 years, but I'm definitely not done there. So I'm actually in the process of opening a new school. So that has to be established enough. My plan is definitely, me and my wife, we definitely want to move. This is home, Sydney's home, so we definitely want to move back here eventually, when the timing is right and when things are set up properly enough so they can be self-sustaining in Hong Kong. But now with opening my new school, it feels a lot better for me because it's just going to be Wing Chun with the old school that we had with some of my friends. We had other stuff, they wanted to do Pilates and this kind of. So there was a mixture of stuff, which was great, and it brought me to where I am now. So it was great, but now it feels like I can really hammer down on just the Wing Chun. And I told Siegel's family that my plan is, whether I can do it or not, it's a different story, but the plan is to really make Wing Chun's, Siegel's Wing Chun, big, very big in Hong Kong, as big as I can, do my part, at least in the expat community. And then, because I think he was a legend, and what he left behind was a gem. So this needs to reach, it really does need to reach as many people as possible. It transformed my life. I know the people that, a lot of students now, a lot of my friends. So it's a very beautiful tool that can be used. So so to wrap it up, basically I want to pass it on to as many people as possible. First starting in Hong Kong and then continuing that when I move back to Sydney in a few years.
Fantastic. Beautiful. Just going back to Hong Kong, what is the training like now in Hong Kong since Siegel's passed?
The training is still great. I mean, one of the main reasons, when I said I'm not done with Hong Kong, one of the main reasons why I still want to stay there is for a selfish reason of continuing my training. So even though he passed away 6 months ago, the group has become, in some ways I think it's become stronger, because before he was the idol and he brought everyone together. Now with him gone, people have to rely on each other's relationship a lot more, and actually, for example, there's a couple of people that in the late 60s, the earliest students in the late 60s and the early 70s, these are guys that I would see, and these were the legends, right? Siegel will talk about them like that. So this is before Jim Thornstein that these guys started, and some of them haven't stopped training, so I'm talking 50 years they've been doing it. But I'd see them in Siegel's birthdays and gatherings and stuff like that, and And I never really talked to him. But now recently, or since he passed away, there's been a lot of gatherings that we have, and these guys come back, you know, and me being young, and you know, other people are like, oh, this guy, you know, should I ask? They're scared, worried to ask for cheese out, whatever. But I don't care. I want to explore, right? So I get out there and I cheese out with all of them, and I asked him how was Qigong like in his late 60s. How was the training like, you know? So basically the group is a lot stronger. There's a handful of us which have dedicated our life full time to teaching there. So we're still quite closely training together, and all of us have our own little schools, our pockets of people that we teach, and we're you know, doing our best. And I'm sure with what's happening now, with the momentum, his legacy and his teaching will continue to be passed on in Hong Kong, and then obviously in here as well, and hopefully it can just spread. Yeah.
Also, a big wave of Qigong
Yes.
around the world.
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful. So when do you plan to come back to Australia? Now that you're here?
I'm not too sure. I mean, permanently I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
I'd say if I had to give it a timeline, I'd say...
But to visit us?
To visit, I think every 6 months.
Wonderful.
Definitely every 6 months I'll come back, and I'll... yeah, a couple of weeks I'll stay and I'll teach for whoever wants to learn, and you know, have gatherings together. Hopefully with all you guys, when you guys have the yearly gatherings, I can join that as well. Because I think it's, yeah, again, not to sound like a broken record, but I think we've got something very special here. So it's, you know, and for the ones that met Qigong, even for the people that didn't meet Qigong, I think we all owe it to him in the best way we can thank him, the best way we can respect him, rather than bowing to a picture of him on the wall. My opinion is if you're a practitioner, practice as much as you can, you know, and really delve into this. Again, we've been blessed to be able to find this type of Wing Chun from a very genuine, you know, a part of Wing Chun, from a very genuine lineage. And if you're a teacher, teach as much as you.
So Sifu Nima, thank you so much for letting us come inside your life.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing with us so much about Qigong, your love for Wing Chun and your love for Qigong. And just lastly, what is your favourite food?
Favourite food's got to be Persian food for me, because it's this thing called cello kebab. So it's this kebab with rice with cooked tomatoes. Very nice, very nice. Yeah, I'll take you on the. Yeah, they got a lot in Sydney actually. There's none in Hong Kong. There's not even one Persian restaurant in Hong Kong. So all the more reasons for me to come back here more often. Yeah. So yeah, Persian food's got to be that.